Hello, it's Friday, March 8th, and it must be time for another legislative update from your North Carolina Medical Society. We are deep into the throes of it, as we said last week. Lots of stuff moving, bills being introduced. But the big thing, it was a presentation just yesterday, actually, about the governor's budget. We've had the release of the governor's budget, which is really just his thoughts on where things ought to go, because the House and the Senate really get to decide what that budget's going to look like until he gets a chance to review that.
It's also a key indicator where his priorities lie, which
Most definitely.
We saw that in what he outlined.
Right. Medicaid expansion being one of them, right? His biggest piece, actually, and talked about Medicaid expansion being a way not just to insure more North Carolinians, but also to address the opioid crisis.
As well. Yep. And also some funding specifically for emerging contaminants. So going back to the Gen X issue that we've had previously, yep. Some money for food banks, some pre-K slots, so a lot of issues regarding public health. But we have a great summary online on the blog that gives you an outline of all the things that somewhat touch healthcare that you may be interested in learning more about.
That's right. And now that we have the governor's budget, the House will really get busy on coming up with the first draft of the legislative budget. So we'll start getting into the weeds about exactly what it is that we think we are going to be able to do, whether it's through public funding, whether it's through Medicaid, or anything else that we would do through the budget this year. This week, one thing that did pass or make another move was in Senate health care this week. The Association Health Plan bill moved. And remember, we told you about that. It was a slightly different bill from what was introduced during one of the special sessions last year by the Farm Bureau. This is more of truly an association's health plan where they can come together, and it lumps on to the federal labor rule along with the MEWA laws here in the state. We had one concern that it was actually going to affect whether our MEWA could continue to exist because of a drafting error. And the Department of Insurance, as well as Senator Krovic, Senator Edwards, Senator Bishop, were all very gracious to help us work through that and get that fixed. And so that has been done. So now it moves to
Senate rules, and now will be on the Senate floor probably within the next week.
Yeah, and I think it'll probably take a delay after that. This is one of the big ideas this year, and with the big conversation about Medicaid expansion, I could see this all kind of holding for a little while.
Also, I want to say thank you so much for participating in our action alert regarding the advanced nurse practice bill that we saw them put out a week or so ago. We had 1,600 people respond to that email and send out a personalized email to their legislators. So we are incredibly thankful for your participation in that and customization of that message, because that has been very helpful in our conversations with legislators this week.
I tell you, folks, I mean, we don't use those action alerts very often for a reason. But when we do, we really need you, and you've come through this time. And the fact that we can walk in and say, did you see Dr. So-and-so's email, or they will even bring it up to us and say that they got a message from you, that's huge. That helps Sue-Ann and Dave and I do so much with having more intense conversations about these topics rather than just kind of the passing talking points. So thank you so much for that. Going back to the action alert, it's still on the blog. If you have not yet used it and need to get to it, it's still there. It's still active. Also on the blog is a big summary of the medical board bill. We mentioned this last week, but it was actually formally read in on Monday. So the medical board bill is an update to the Medical Practice Act. This is not something that's out of the ordinary. It happens kind of on a regular schedule, as Sue-Ann said last week. And she has very graciously put together a bullet point summary of this bill so you don't have to go read all 30 pages of it. We will probably do another summary of that down the road a little bit in kind of a video format, but just go read those talking points for now, and then we'll bring more detail after we know exactly what that bill is going to look like and the pace and cadence of how it moves forward.
Right. We also saw the emergence of two bills regarding helmet laws this week. One bill would replace the helmet law requirement with wearing a face mask. So we had some fun figuring out what exactly that would look like. And also the reemergence of the same bill we saw last year, which would allow individuals over the age of 21, as well as their passengers, not to wear a helmet in North Carolina while riding a motorcycle.
Yeah. And like Sue-Ann said, this is a huge public safety issue. We've dealt with this year after year after year with our partners, with the emergency medicine doctors and others. Just not safe to go rolling down the highway like that. In addition, this week, great participation by your alma maters. Both Campbell and ECU had incredible groups of medical students, administrators, and faculty here talking to legislators and telling them about the needs that they have at those medical schools, those incredible institutions for training the next future of physicians.
Yeah, and taking care of North Carolina, particularly rural areas, which legislators have shown that they have a big interest in how we keep physicians and PAs in our rural communities. So had some very meaningful conversations around that. So so excited that they were here. If you have not registered for your White Coat Wednesday and want to participate, that link is available on the blog as well.
That's right. And had a great conversation with a couple of White Coat Wednesday doctors this week that actually didn't know about Doctor of the Day. So we're bringing it up again, right? If you want to be Doctor of the Day, which means that you get to actually provide health care to the folks at the North Carolina General Assembly, get to sit on the House and Senate floors, get recognized there as the physician of the day. We'd love to have you participate in that, and all you need to do is reach out to the North Carolina Speaker's Office to sign up for a day that would work with your schedule and the legislative schedule.
That's right.
That's right. So a lot this week. There's even more that's on the blog. Remember that the blog is a timely update. So whatever's at the top is what has happened most recently. Even if it's a bill that was introduced a few weeks ago and we took action on it this week, that's what's going to be at the top. So just scrolling down gives you kind of a chronological happening of what's going on down at the General Assembly.
Right. So they're updated as we're sitting in committee.
Yes.
So as they move, that's how they move up to the top, as we're updating those in very timely manner.
That's right. So look there until we're together again next week, and we hope you have a good one.